This video is to go over some problems that may or may not be on your test, but they're good practice problems and ones that we keep getting some questions about. So the first one is from the review paper, and it's number 12. It says sine of 5 pi over 18, cosine of pi over 36 minus cosine of 5 pi over 36. Oh no, sorry, 5 pi over 18. Sine of pi over 36. So in further investigation, this says sine of alpha cosine beta minus cosine alpha sine of beta. And this comes from, if you look at your formula sheet, it is the sine sum of difference formula. It's alpha minus beta. So my alpha is 5 pi over 18 and my beta is pi over 36. So this equals sine of 5 pi over 18 minus pi over 36. Need to find common denominators. Multiply this one by 2 over 2, and this will make this 10 pi over 36. So what I really have is sine of 10 pi over 36 minus pi over 36, which makes me sine of 9 pi over 36. Well, that's the same thing as sine of pi over 4. Now, if the angle you get, pi over 4, is not on the circle, our pi over 4 is on the circle. But if you got something like pi over 5, we don't know, sine of pi over 5, you would leave your answer there. But since sine of pi over 4 is on the unit circle, you go to the unit circle, and sine is the y value, you get root 2 over 2. Let's try another problem. Let's try number 9. Number 9 says tangent of 195 degrees. 195 is not on my circle, and the directions say find the exact value. That means you shouldn't be touching a calculator. Exact value is going to be something off of the circle. So let's rewrite tangent in terms of things we know. Well, I can do 135 plus 60. 135 degrees plus 60 degrees makes 195. Just to note, you want to avoid tangent of 30 degrees, which is tangent of pi over 6, if you can, because it ends up with fractions and fractions, and it's just not a good situation. It's totally doable, just not fun. So this thing is tangent of alpha plus beta, and that equals tan alpha plus tan beta over 1 minus tan alpha tan beta. So if I plug in what I have tangent of 135 degrees minus tangent of 60 degrees, plus on top, plus, over 1 minus tangent of 135 degrees, tangent of 60 degrees. You have to know your circle for your test. You must. It's not being given to you, and you will lose so many points if you don't know your circle. So please make sure you know it. So tangent of 135 degrees is -1, plus tangent of 60 is root 3, over 1 minus -1 times root 3. This is the same thing as -1 plus root 3 over 1 plus root 3. We cannot leave our answer like this. We can't leave a root in the bottom. Multiplying by root 3 over root 3 won't do it. You have to multiply by the conjugate, 1 minus root 3 over 1 minus root 3. So I'm going to go ahead and FOIL that out. And on top I get -1 plus root 3 plus root 3 minus 3. On bottom, I get 1 minus root 3 plus root 3 minus 3. So on top, I have -4 plus 2 root 3 all over, these middle terms cancel off, a negative 2. Then you can divide them both, not one of them, but both of the numbers in the top. Reduce all the numbers by a negative 2, so you get 2 minus a root 3. That's your answer. Make sure you remember that you have to rationalize. You can't leave that root in the bottom. Let's try another problem. Let's try number 19. So I have 4 secant theta minus secant squared theta minus 3 equals 1. This looks like a quadratic, so I'm going to rearrange it. Negative secant squared theta plus 4 secant theta minus 4 equals 0. I am not factoring with a negative leading coefficient. So I'm going to divide everything, both sides of the equation, by negative 1. Secant squared theta minus 4 secant theta plus 4 equals 0. Now I'm going to factor. Since there's no leading coefficient, I don't have to do group or anything like that. I get secant theta minus 2, secant theta minus 2. This negative 2 and this negative 2 multiply to make this 4 and add to make this negative 4. So what this really says is secant theta minus 2 squared equals 0. Square root both sides. Make sure that when you square root both sides, it's a plus and minus. So if I had a 1 over here, it'd be a plus or minus 1. But I don't have a 1, I have a 0. So I have a secant theta minus 2 equals 0. Add the 2 over, secant theta equals 2. That's the same thing as saying cosine of theta equals a half. And this question has the interval 0 to 2 pi. So when I answer this, I need to give all the answers from 0 to 2 pi. So this happens at pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. If I didn't have the interval, I'd have to add like 2 pi n or something of that nature. But please make sure that you answer and note if there is or is not an interval. Let's try one more. Let's do 25. So 3.0275 equals 1 minus 1/4 tan theta. No matter how ugly the problem looks, guys, you have to give it a chance and try. And you've gotten to pre-calculus because you've passed algebra, so let's use our algebra skills. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minus a 1 from both sides. So I now have 2.0275 equals negative 1/4 tangent theta. I'm now going to multiply both sides by a negative 4 so I can get the tangent all by himself. Negative 8.11 equals tangent theta. If you remember graphing tangent, his parent function looked like this. He goes up and down forever. So tangent at some point in time is going to touch negative 8.11. It's just not on the unit circle. So we're going to arctan both sides so that I can get to the theta, because this arctan and tangent they undo each other. So I'm going to do arctan of negative 8.11 equals theta. And you're going to grab your calculator and you're going to read the directions. The directions say between 0 and 2 pi, which means you want to make sure that you are in radians, not in degrees. The answer that pops out from the calculator is negative 1.448. That means I started right here and I went this way. But the directions say from 0 to 2 pi. I can't go down, I have to go up this way. To find what that answer really is, I can take this answer and I can add 2 pi to it, because that'll give me the positive version. So my theta equals 4.835. And if you remember, tangent's period was pi. So this negative happens down here, but it also happens in the second quadrant. And that blue thing I just drew is a straight line. So those answers are pi apart. So I want to do minus pi minus pi, because there should be one other answer. And so when I subtract a pi, it'll give me the answer in the second quadrant, which is 1.693. So here are the two answers for this problem. Hopefully that helped you a little bit and gets you started on some of the problems that you may have been stuck on.